watch the sentencing for Diddy today?
I sure did, man. I'm not surprised. I mean, I think we all figured out that the judge wasn't going to give him 11 years. With the federal system, it's based on guidelines, and a lot of the guidelines is based on like the federal system really goes on your police record, like your prior criminal history. And Diddy really doesn't have too much, if any at all. So that played a factor into it, and it just listen. The letters, both ways, I don't think played a factor. I think the judge just said, hey, they're asking for 11. He doesn't have any. I think what the probation was asking for was like
14 months,
5 to 7 years, right? And the reason why they didn't do that is because he just didn't have any prior history, criminal history.
Right.
Had he had prior criminal history, especially if it was something violent, then they would have factored that in the probation. He wasn't going to get the 11 because they didn't acquit him on all the charges. But if he would have had a prior criminal history, he definitely would have had to give them like 7 years. So he's kind of fortunate. He goes in there. He already served 13 months. He gets 4 years and cuts that down. Then they have a program now. If you're over 50, it's not 85%. You do 50% of the time. So you cut that down even more. And then they got another program. If you take classes called the drug class, you get another year knocked off.
Right.
So people could really, and then with the drug program, you get a halfway house 6 months prior to.
Right.
Diddy could be home could be at a halfway house in 7 months.
Yeah.
That's not bad for everything that he was going through.
Oh, he won.
That's
he
amazing.
won. Yeah, he won. I mean, seriously. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's still time, but he won.
Personally, we can all, have our opinions about how we looked at things, and but as far as breaking the law and any law that he broke, I think the time and what he given, I'm not going to say, I hate to say things are fair because I just don't, but I think he, based on everything that happened, I think he should be very happy right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. 100%. I mean, he could have gone away for a long time had they been able to prove any of that stuff, but they didn't do that. They didn't have the burden of proof, so they dropped the ball.
And that's big. The burden of proof was on them. And at the end of the day, the Mann Act that he was convicted of, as far as transferring prostitutions over state lines, that law was written so long ago.
It's so long. It was like a racist law too.
No, that was written long ago, and what the feds do, and just the justice system in general, they find ways that they can use these certain laws in other categories.
Yeah.
When they wrote that law, a lot of things have changed, of course, now in society. So, you really never ever would hear that law, because listen, if transferring strippers from one city to another, half the country would be locked up.
Right. Right.
So what I mean. But let's face it. Diddy, who he was after the tape of Cassie came out, the optics and the visuals just wasn't good. And then even me, at the end of the day, it's like when you listen to some of the stuff, the violent stuff that happened. No fathers with that. I really felt for the victims when it comes to the violent things. Sex is one thing, but forcing people for sex, and then when they're not doing it the way you want, and then they have to get beat up. I thought that was real extreme, and that was the first time I've even heard of some stuff like that. So I wasn't with that, but everything else, it just felt like. Listen, man, It's not saying it's that bad, but what they was accused of just wasn't adding up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, did you think him booking a speaking engagement for next week kind of hurt him?
That's stupid. Very stupid. See, let me tell you, this industry, and I wish I could really talk to a lot of these guys. These guys' worst enemies is their ego.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys that came from nothing and all of a sudden have a lot, their egos get out of control, and their egos are what is guiding their decisions.
Yeah.
Their egos is what are guiding their decisions, and you know that was ego. Oh, I'm gonna get off, man. I'll be up out of here. Man. That's right. Book it. Come on. Come on. Listen, man. They can't book me for this, man. I'll be out. I got time served. That's ego.
Nope.
I'm Diddy. You know, and now, you know, and I'm not saying that 100% what it was, but that should have never even came up.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? That they brought that up in prosecution. You know, the prosecution brought that up.
As they should.
Yeah.
I mean, as they should. Like, yeah.
Because that's you arrogant to do
Right.
that.
Right.
What he should have.
On another level.
Right.
Another level.
Yeah.
Right.
You just went through hell. You do not want to judge hearing that you booked a speaking engagement.
Yeah.
Like, hell no.
I mean, if you want to book something, maybe if he booked like a 28-day rehab to go, maybe that will have worked on his favor. Because
Listen, man. The best thing to do is just, man,
do nothing.
Is apologize, sincerely look like you were sorry, and that's it.
Yeah.
That is it. Everything else, you don't want to book no engagements. You don't want to talk about, man, when I get out, I'm going to be at Madison Square Garden. You just don't want to, because the media grabs everything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And everything gets blown out of proportion. So why do you even want to? It may be a spark, but the spark ends up being a fire once the media and the blogs get to it and social media gets to it. And that's what you have to be careful nowadays.
Yeah.
See, back then when I came up, you didn't necessarily have to worry about that type of stuff. Now you really have to take into consideration things like that.
Yeah.
Things like that, because social media can really affect, believe it or not,
Yeah, of course.
any decisions that are in court.
Of course.
One way or the
yeah.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, do you think when he come home in 6-7 months, he's gonna be a changed man, or you think he has a long way to go?
I mean, for sure. Listen, this experience. I mean, believe me. He didn't want to get up out of there. They said that he really broke down. And imagine. I mean, come on, you just won a major thing and you're still crying. He doesn't want to be up in there.
No.
This is not what nobody does, but surely not him. And I'm sure he will never want to get up and go in there again. And then when you have that much money, and Diddy still has some money left.
Of course.
Right? But I don't want anybody to think that Diddy is broke by a long shot. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he was filthy rich, but they, fighting this case and everything they got taken from him. But, he's going to come out, he's going to be pretty comfortable, and I'm sure he'll get right back into music. I don't know. To me, the thing what he should do is use some of that money and open up a whole place for domestic violence cases. I think that right there could speed up the forgiving process, because we're a forgiving people.
We are.
The human race, United States, when it comes to entertainers, we just forgive, man. You know what I'm saying?
We do.
And that's not a bad thing. Everybody deserves another chance. He didn't kill anybody, or he didn't get convicted for killing anybody. So I think he'll come out. But again, ego. You just never.
I know.
You don't know with these guys, man. And listen. I take myself. When I had all that money with the Source magazine, my ego was out of control.
Yeah.
But I learned, and growing older, making it to 60 years old, and seeing things from a mature lens now, have made me really see my mistakes, and to take accountability was my ego. I have to take accountability of what my ego did, and what not. I wouldn't say I was arrogant like a lot of these guys, because I was the type of guy that was really trying to help everybody and really trying to make everybody happy and stand shoulder to shoulder with everybody. These guys always put themselves above everybody, so that's where I think I've always been different. And I think, for the most part, over all these years, my fans and people that have seen me can understand that and tell the difference. I just know that a lot of guys that I've came up with, and guys in the industry, I've seen their egos are out of control. I don't like arrogant people on any level. Mm-hmm. I just think that we're all here together. Nobody's better than no one. I never believe that much of a celebrity. I never really fed into the celebrity thing, even within myself. I just know that we all come from, everybody has their own struggles. And as you move on in life, and I know this now, you never stop learning, and you should never stop bettering yourself.
Of course, yes.
So, okay, the money thing. So in his statement, he talked about like he lost everything. But I mean, in my opinion, he did lose a lot. Everything. But in my opinion, the people that were working with Diddy before this went down are probably still going to be around when he comes out. I mean, I don't know that anybody was shocked and amazed at I mean, some of the stuff that came out, definitely. But, you know, Diddy didn't have a wonderful reputation before this went down. And as you said, people are forgiving. So, like, you know, and they still want to make money. And this is a businessman. This is a businessman who has been really successful. So, I mean, do you think that he's lost everything? Or do you think he's going to be okay?
No, absolutely not. He hasn't lost anything. And just movie deals alone. Now, there's going to be a major part of the world that will not touch him in advertising and different companies and stuff.
Yes.
We know
yes.
All right, okay. All right. I mean, forget about that. But in this time in 2025, like if this was 20 years ago, you'd have a problem. But nowadays, there are so many other companies that really, that their moral compass isn't as you know, strict as, you know, McDonald's and Cadillac. And, you know what I'm saying? What I can say is that I guarantee you he's not going to be around too many people at all.
No.
I don't know who, as far as his circle, he's not going to be, and even the ones that he probably thought he could trust, Diddy's going to come home and he's not going to be, there'll be a few that I'm sure stuck by him through this that I'm sure he knows, but on the most part, he's going to cut off. It's not going to be too many people around him at all. Yeah. And I know that for a fact because he's seen, the thing with him really, what would make me understand with this Diddy thing outside of Diddy is just how fickle just people are. I mean, listen, when this first happened, everybody wanted to crucify Diddy. I mean, it was 100%. It wasn't too many people at all support him. Now, when you look at it, that's changed.
Of course, because he's coming home.
Now, there's still a big part of people that won't mess with him and don't, but there's still a lot of people that have changed their minds.
Yeah.
And you have people that look at it like, look, this is a black man being taken down, or look, you know what I'm saying, he didn't do too much, and Cassie already got her money, and why should she have came and testified after she got, there's just a lot of people making up their own opinions. I just think like, it's over, you know. I'm be honest. I'm you know what I mean. I'm sure he wants to get it behind him, but you know, so do I. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is finally, because the things that were being said never came out, like the kids, all the gay stuff. I mean, there was horrible things that actually never ever came out. So, and no one's not gonna say, "Hey, Dan, that's messed up," because I was wrong. People think it's going to be like, look, I was wrong because I thought this and I thought the third, but I kind of jumped the gun. That's not going to happen. No. So, you know, I think everybody can just take a nice deep breath that it's over, because a lot of people were really invested in it. And like I said, throughout the situation, people's minds were changed. You know, to the very, you know, up until the reading of the verdict. So, you know, I mean, it wasn't as bad as people thought, is my point, you know, as the trial went on. It wasn't as bad as people thought. I knew for a fact it couldn't have been a RICO. You know, I wasn't worried about him.
They overcharged him.
That would have been the biggest misjustice ever, you know. That would have ranked high up there in America. But because there was nobody else but him. Yeah. So how really can it be a RICO?
Right.
Yeah, it cannot be a one-man RICO.
Right. Yeah, it goes against the definition. Yes, definitely. Yes.
Yeah, like, you know, so, you know, it wasn't no, you know, criminal organization of a bunch of people that, it was Diddy. It was a freaky ass Diddy. And, look, we live in a country of porn. You know, $1 trillion industry is porn. So we know that, you know, people's lusts and sex and stripping and novelty stores. I mean, this exists.
Of course,
In
yeah.
2025 with the internet, it's not like before when my father had the Playboy magazine under his bed, and I used to go get the Playboy magazine. It was like, wow, this is like at the tip of your fingers, some of the
course.
craziest stuff.
Everybody have it.
This is the time. These are the times in that we're living in. So when you're looking at Diddy's escapades, it's like, you know, it's just another shocking, not shocking moment. And like it shocked everybody first, but the internet is whatever's shocking you today, it'll be out your system tomorrow because it's gonna be something else.
Yeah.
That's true.
And two, like you said, I mean, going back to like the forgiving thing, I mean, so many companies now, they're good if you put out some sort of charitable whatever. You know what I mean? Like some sort of, you make some big deal. So like you said, if he puts some money towards some domestic violence shelters or, you know, some programs, he's going to be good with a lot of companies
Sex
out
addiction,
there. Yeah.
Build one. Build one. Build one. The Diddy domestic violence, Sean Combs domestic violence in Harlem. You know what I'm saying? Just build one.
Yeah.
So where is that? You're going to be helping these domestic violence women. That will really help him if he does that.
Yeah.
You know.
So,
We'll see.
okay, so how far back do you go with Puffy? Did you know him back in the 90s?
Well, you got to know. I mean, when we had the source, you know what I'm saying. I heard of him, of course, back when Heavy D, Uptown Records.
Okay.
Okay, and then when Mary J. Blige came out, that's when you started kind of seeing him and Biggie, the Frito, like I think it was on the Super Cat remix when Biggie and Diddy was actually rapping on that. Dolly My Baby. He was actually the rapper. And then just, you know, I think I met him probably in the 90s, like the early 90s.
Okay.
And it was always just cordial. Dave was the one that was doing business with him because Dave handled the advertising at the source, Dave Mays. So Dave was really really cool with him because, you know, Diddy's buying ads for Bad Boy and stuff.
Of course, yeah.
I've been to one Diddy party, but it was in Manhattan. It was not at his house. It was a suit and tie affair. Me and Dave went. You know, the thing with me is like, I was kind of back then. I was a lot more wilder, and I ran with a big crew. I mean, we went to the party, met him, but I was close with Mario Winans. Mario Winans produced. They was one of Diddy's producers, and Stevie J, of course. You know, I met Stevie at Diddy's house, at Diddy's studio in Manhattan, and me and Stevie ended up being super tight, and me and Mario ended up being super tight. But you know, Diddy was always kind of telling them to kind of like, you know, like be careful with Benzino, and you know what I'm saying, he was kind of overprotective with them when they was, you know, with me. So me and him a lot of people don't know, but me and Diddy got a whole song together. It was on my Benzino project album. The song was pretty dope too. It was produced by Kanye West. A lot of people don't know that.
No, listen, your first couple albums, you have heavy hitters on your album, bro. He had everybody. He had Scarface, he had Diddy, he had the Outlaws, he had Jadakiss. I mean, he had like the first couple album. Look at the features on them.
Yeah.
It's heavy hitters. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Please go ahead. Please don't stop. No, I mean, I was blessed. You know, to really, you know. So Diddy, man, listen, man. Look, I've never had any bad situation with him. He spent a lot of money with the Source magazine. You know, of course, there was that thing with the East Coast West Coast beef at the '95 Source Awards with Suge Knight and Diddy. But you know, me and his interaction was very far and few throughout my time. You know, in his time.
Yeah. So if you could talk to him now, give him an advice when he come back home, what would you tell him?
Well, welcome home. You know what I'm saying? You know, if I could give you any advice, listen, one thing about it, people gotta understand, Diddy is a very, very smart man. He let his you know, sexual and lusts get the best of him, right? But you can't take away his hustle and his intelligence. He's a very smart individual, and you know, there's not too much advice I could give him that I'm sure he doesn't already know. But just hypothetically, I would definitely tell him, you know, what I told you. You know, I mean, let's get out there and really start doing some work with domestic violence victims, and possibly if you could open up a center, stuff like that, so that you can be in good graces with with the fan base again.
Of course,
and,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Time heals all. So I would stress that.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Yeah, and the staying away from people for a while. Keeping. I mean,
you know what? He's going to do that. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I believe me. Diddy feels betrayed by a lot of people.
I would too.
He should.
He
Yeah.
he feels like people didn't speak up for him.
Mm-hmm. They didn't.
Everybody was quiet. I'm sure, even if you had nothing to do with it. Imagine, listen, Diddy had thousands of people partying at his house, loving him at the time the party was going on, and none of them was like, hey, Diddy's a good man.
Right.
None of them. Everybody was scared to say something.
Yeah.
So believe me, he felt that.
Yeah.
And again, Diddy's been giving parties since the 90s. We're talking 30 years of this. Diddy knows everybody. Diddy's Rolodex is the biggest Rolodex you can imagine of everybody. And when people go over there, they want to be next to him. They want to be in his presence. They want to party with him. When the storm comes, you don't expect everybody to abandon you.
Yeah.
Very true.
That's what happened. I didn't see too many people
only Stevie J.
It's like he had the cooties at the time, and everybody wanted to get away from him.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's holding that personal. Trust me. Trust me, this man's holding that person.
Oh, I would, yeah.
I would too. I mean, they all came out like, no, we don't want anything to do with it. Sorry, guys. No, we are not.
And like I said, those parties, man, people, they were loving him. So, it's tale of two different Diddys. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they was loving him, and that's why, listen, man, that's why people gotta learn from things. And you learn from this. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got to learn. The industry is a fickle business, man. And you think people are your friends. You think people are your family. You think people have your best interest. And as soon as you ain't hot no more, as soon as something happens, nobody knows you.
Yeah,
and that's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that firsthand.
Yeah. That's true.
So listen, speaking of somebody who lost everything, lately, Dame Dash has been crashing out pretty much. How well do you know him?
I know Dame, but Dave really dealt with Dame. The couple of times me and Dame got together, it wasn't, it wasn't too much of a conversation, I have a great deal of respect for Dame is a legend in the game. I have a great deal of respect of his accomplishments and what he did with Rockefeller and Jay-Z and Rockaware. And just the production he did with Dipset. Dame is responsible for a lot of amazing things in hip hop. Once again, I think his ego gets the best.
Yeah.
No.
Once again.
Yeah.
And I, what I'm saying, sometimes the one thing about your ego doesn't allow you to zip this up when it's time. Sometimes you and I had to learn this. And so when I'm speaking for me, I had to learn this. That the things that you want, you can't say everything you want to say. Yes, you have the freedom to say it, but sometimes it's best not to. And you got to be able, and those decisions can make or break somebody.
Yeah, that's
the time to say certain things, the place to say certain things, you have to know when to say things and when not to. If something is on, because it starts up here in the mind, and then it has to come out of this. He can't stop what's ahead coming out of this.
That's true.
Yeah, he cannot do it.
Yeah.
And that's what, to me, that's what's getting him, that, and he has to be careful because you don't want to ruin your legacy. It's about legacies.
Is it too late though?
You don't want people to not like you.
Right.
Because you're a loudmouth, or you're always negative, or you're always in some shit with somebody, or always something about the past. Look, my past isn't the greatest. I've made some small mistakes and real big ones. But it's all right though, because I'm human and I take responsibility for I did it, and I'm a better person to make to not make those mistakes again. And I could help somebody by admitting that. Listen, let me tell you something. I've done so much and had so, you would never know it. Like I've done so much and had so much money and so many material things, but I don't talk about it. Because at the end of the day, it's not doing anybody good me bragging about what I had or bragging about what I did. Yes, it's good to my accomplishments, and it's good for me, even for me to understand my accomplishments. I get it, but there's a way to articulate it where you're not coming off as pompous or braggadocious or big mouth or arrogant. Like, there's just a way, because people out here aren't doing good. I know it seems like that way with social media, but the reality is people aren't. And the way you communicate to them, you have to, there's a way to communicate where you're not, throwing stuff in their face. And I think Dame just hasn't found that way of communication. I think Dame thinks, when he has conversations with people, he thinks that he's a CEO of every conversation.
He does.
He does.
Like, you're not like me and you can, like we're here just going to lunch having a conversation, and you think you're a CEO. It's not that. You have to put yourself at the level, shoulder to shoulder with everybody. And even if you think, and I've been doing this lately, even if I might know some more than somebody else, I'm not going to make them feel any less of a person because, you understand what I'm saying? And that's not me dumbing myself down. I just know how to communicate where I don't make people feel uncomfortable, like I'm somebody that's trying to make them like that's somebody bigger than them. And, we have a problem with that in the industry and in the community. And, I look at and I don't want to jump it, but I look at these guys and the Nicki and Cardi beef and Dame and everybody, and I just look at it and it's like, they get piped up from clicks and comments. A lot of this stuff wouldn't even be happening if it wasn't for the social media and the fans and comments, because a lot of people take that shit to heart, and take those to heart, and they like instigate it and eat it up. It's like back in the day when you're outside for recess, and then you don't want to fight, but then you got the whole recess trying to egg you onto it, and that's what's going on now. And these are grown men and women falling for it. So it really is crazy right now.
Okay, so do you think that sometimes when we fall from that high, part of that is because we're not taking accountability for our actions too? Because I feel like, I see a lot of folks out there that really they really struggle with like just owning up to their own stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and me, it took me a long time. I had an 11-year span between relationships because I needed to do work on myself and I needed to take accountability for my actions, and really own up to my stuff before I could find somebody that was my fit. Right. So like, and that's at a much smaller scale, but I feel like, folks that kind of have that downfall, that's one of the things that I really kind of jumps out at me, is that they really don't take accountability for some of the things that they've, kind of mishandled along the way. And people don't want to mess with them then, you know what I mean? Because,
Listen, you just said a mouthful, because it's not just people in the celebrity world, just in general. Like, what people don't realize, when you take accountability, okay, first of all, when you don't take accountability, you're always worrying what other people might think, and that's why you don't take accountability. You don't want to see people, you don't want people to see you in a lesser light. If you understand that when you do take accountability, you free yourself from all that anyways. When you admit to your own wrong, you don't have to worry about what anybody else thinks. And that's what people mix it up at. And, of course, on a higher scale, when you got the world looking at you and social media looking at you, these people don't never want to be wrong, because the fans put them so much on a pedestal, they start believing it. And that is a problem. That, believe it or not, that is a problem. And that, to me, is the reason why a lot of stuff gets worse than it should be, because the fans put people on this pedestal that doesn't even exist. And instead of them understanding it, okay, that's my fans and they love me, they give them what they think they are. You don't have to do that. You could still be loved, but you could still, again, communicate in a way that people could see you as a genuine good person. Now, if you're not that anyways, well, oh well. You know, that's I think that's what people understand. There's an old saying, like, you don't want to meet your idols in person.
That's true.
You know, and you got to understand that's what social media does. It opens up. You know, a lot of times people have gifts, whether it's singing, playing an instrument, acting, whatever it is. Not necessarily they was the greatest at life. So when you're looking at this person, you're admiring their gift, but in your mind, you're thinking that they're also a great person. And believe me, that couldn't be furthest from the truth of a lot of these people out here.
So, one way I think we can change this is if people like you who know better, not just you, a lot of OGs in the 90s, do like a class, a seminar for the youngins. I'm serious.
No,
because I think they will listen to you, not to us, but to you, KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane, like Snoop, Dr. Dre, Three Stocks, those guys, they will listen to you guys. I think that might be.
But what you're doing right now is you're the one enabling that. You know, I do so many podcasts and they talk about nonsense.
Yeah.
What you guys are talking about is allowing me to speak like this. You know, I'm only as good as the questions asked. And believe me, these type of questions I don't get. So it's hard to have a great, intelligent conversation when most of the podcasters just want the low-hanging fruit stuff. Yeah. And so you're already doing it. You know, we're already doing it right now. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, you know, I don't know the type of podcast or the questions, you know, when I do them, it happens on the fly. But, you know, I love talking about stuff like this because then, you know, when I post it and it gets reposted, then when they see it, then they can listen to it. But you're doing it right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're actually doing what you say I should be doing. We're doing it right now.
I didn't know that.
That's true. Good point.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, so this kind of ties over, you had mentioned them anyways, like Cardi B and Nicki, you know, their stuff, like they've been going at it for a minute. I mean,
it's nasty.
Like, it is really nasty. And this is the thing, like these are so talented. I mean, they have so much talent. They have so much ability. These women, and you know, as a woman, I hate seeing women like bashing other women. I really do. And especially, the kids. Yeah. I mean, I'm like, kids are off limits, families off limit, you know, like that kind of stuff to me is like, no, don't do that. Like that's low.
Everybody's feeling the way you feel, and it's so unfortunate because not only are they talented, but they're super successful and rich.
Yeah.
And where they came from, but then you can see, you know, again, and like I said, all right, they're both icons, but you could see that they both been through traumas. You could see that there's a lot of trauma there in both of their spirits.
Yes.
And you know, Cardi, I guess her upbringing is chronic. You know, I mean, people understand she was a stripper and how she came up and from the Bronx, and you know, so people cheered for Cardi because she came from humble beginnings. Yeah. And, you know, it's like, man, rags to riches. It's a great story. Mm-hmm. Nicki, people seen how super talented she was to come up in a game where it was really dominated by men. When Nicki came up, it was a male-dominated industry, not like it was now where females are everywhere. Nicki came up, and she had to really spit like them in order to really be accepted. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not like it is now. Right. You know, she really, and of course, the ones before her opened the doors like Kim, Foxy, like Latifah, Roxanne, Shante. I go on and on. Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying, when Nicki came into it with the social media, it was a whole different level. Hip hop became a whole different level with social media. So it's just when you see them and the stuff that they're saying, the personal stuff about their kids, this is the result of the worst of what the worst part of the internet in our culture, hip hop community, is. There's nothing worse than what they're doing. I've seen some pretty bad, even with myself, with me, 50, Eminem. But what they're doing now, you know, with the tweets, because it's not even on wax anymore.
No.
Things that they're saying on Twitter and going back and forth is beyond horrible. And the biggest take out of it is, the biggest, most frustrating and disappointing take out of it is that there are young girls on each side, on Cardi's side and on Nicki's side, that are disrespecting the hell out of each other. And we're talking millions and millions of people that are being influenced by this disrespectful tirade of both of them. And it is a black eye for hip hop. It's a black eye for women's rap. It's a black eye for women. It's a black eye for mothers. Yeah. It's a black eye for single mothers. Like, there's so many layers to this. Like, there was no way it should be going as far. And this is what I noticed. They have nobody that they're listening to, neither one of them.
No.
There is no guidance or nobody older or no type of OG. The buck stops with them, because if there was them, I mean, it just keeps going on, and it keeps getting worse and worse of what they're saying. And I'm not picking no side, because they're both wrong. They're both out of pocket. And at the end of the day, one thing about these tweets and these blogs, it doesn't go anywhere.
No.
You know, like this, if there was any chance for, squashing, you forget about it now. I mean, it's too personal when you're disrespecting kids like that.
Yeah.
And, listen, man, I don't see it getting any better, but I just really feel like it's a sad day for hip hop. What's going on with them too.
So do you think the hype, the beef between Kendrick and Drake had last year kind of pushed this forward, that now this is where, look what Drake and Kendrick had, we can have the same thing?
No. I mean, listen, battling's been part of hip hop since day one.
Oh, yes, of course, yeah.
Bad since the 70s.
I mean, we can battle, but not like that. I mean, I thought we supposed to live this in the 90s, man. Come on, bro.
I mean, battling, it started on the mic, but then as you go on, battling is like, I don't know if you ever watched the battle rappers, but nothing's off limits. And I get it. And put it this way, if Nicki and Cardi was to rap about their kids, even though it would be wrong, it'd still be better than them tweeting to each other right now.
Yeah,
that's true.
This isn't a rap beef anymore. This is really a personal, really disrespectful back and forth right now.
So
this really has rap and hip hop has nothing to do with this at this point. You know what I'm saying?
So what happened if they ever meet each other?
Excuse me?
What happened if they ever meet each other, like somewhere in public?
I mean, both of them travel with so much security. I don't think it'll ever happen. They'll never be able to touch each other. That's not going to happen. I mean, they already had a little something at the Met Gala that I think Cardi and one of Nicki's friends, Ali, might have got into it. But Nicki doesn't come across as a fighter. Now, Cardi will fight, it seems like. Cardi will fight. I don't think Nicki comes across as
Nicki's from up there, Jamaica, too. She's with the business.
No, it doesn't matter where you're from. If you're not, we are a product of who we are over the years. Nicki hasn't got into no physical fight with anybody for look how long. So if 20, 30 years you ain't fighting with nobody, when a fight comes,
that's true.
You're going to be a little, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, man, but they're both women. Like, Nicki's, going to be 40 soon.
Already?
You understand what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
Cardi's is in her 30s. It's just,
they're grown. Yeah. They're grown. Yeah.
Nick been on here for a minute, though.
Yeah. Well, so we've been doing some interviews with some of the kids of artists in the 90s, and like you were saying, this stuff is going on Twitter. It's not going. I mean, these kids are going to grow up seeing this stuff that people are saying about them as a child. You know, I mean, we've heard some of the stories from some of these, you know, these other kids, or they're grown people now, they're adults, but like, and nobody messed with them. You know what I mean? Like nobody was coming after anybody's kids back then, and there certainly wasn't any social media.
But it affected them.
It affected them just growing up as, you know, a child of a hip hop artist and stuff. So like, I can only imagine what that would feel like, you know, when their kids are in their 30s, you know, and they see this stuff. Like,
I mean, by the time they get to 30, they're gonna see a lot more crazy. I mean, unfortunately.
That's true.
You think you see crazy, wait till 2030, 2035. I mean,
That's true.
You know, at this point, you know what I'm saying? I mean, by the time they're 30, they've done seen it all.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, man, it's sad. You know, you can't take back some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, at this point, I don't know how it's gonna end. You know, I know Nicki's dropping an album. You know, if you're gonna do, if that's what people are rollouts and marketing strategies to drop an album, I'd rather not.
Yeah.
And again, it's the fans. The fans play a big responsibility into this. If this is, you know, they'll keep doing it as long as the fans are feeding into it.
Yeah. I mean,
artists won't do nothing the fans ain't feeding into.
No, I agree. I mean, Kendrick and Drake beef, you know, last year, I mean, we enjoyed the songs. We enjoyed the raps, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I'm not, I mean, honestly, Cardi just dropped hers, and like, I was excited, and then all this stuff went out, and I'm like, I don't really want to watch her stuff. I don't want to listen to her stuff right now. You know what I mean? Like,
all the tweets are overshadowing any song that comes up.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate, because I think, you know, I really liked this album, but you know, it's like, I don't love what they're doing. I think it's really awful what they're doing. So
I think it's hurting both of them. And you know, again, man, it's so important to have fathers in your life, man, when it's possible, because man, you know, I mean, the situation with Cardi being pregnant with this guy's kid, and the guy got another girl pregnant, and
that's a mess, dude.
It's just a lot.
It is a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot of bad optics, and I know that I don't judge. Lord knows I'm not judging. I'm not judging Cardi. I'm just saying, when you reach that much of an icon to the status of where she's at, you have to make better decisions, man.
Yeah.
You just do, man. So many young girls who are gonna think that's cool.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, get me pregnant. And you can get her pregnant and me pregnant. We can all be pregnant.
That's not how it works.
That's just not a good message to send to these girls, man. Because one thing about girls, they're easily led, man. They're so easily led. Honestly, you know.
Yeah, and
we'll see what happens.
The father thing, I mean, that's so true. I mean, Rodney and I just lost all of our fathers this year.
Sorry,
and thank you.
I still got mine. I have my mom, but I still got Schnapps.
That's great.
Yeah,
and I mean, but they were, I mean, these were big losses for us, you know, because having the father figure, I mean, as a woman, having my father in my life, I mean, I cherish all the moments, all the conversations that we ever had, all the stuff that he taught me, all the, you know, the respect that he gave me, that I learned from being, you know, his child, his daughter, and, you know, and how to interact with the rest of the world, and how to hold myself up, and, you know, things like that. And, you know, I agree.
Actually, my dad lived not too far from where he grew up.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, so my dad, he lived in Brockton, Avon, and Randolph.
Brockton, hell yeah.
His brother still lives there,
20 minutes from where I grew up.
Yeah, so actually, like, his parents from Cape Verde, like, I think in Puerto Rico. I never knew about Cape Verde until my dad moved up there. That's when I'm like, oh.
That's right. Cape Verde all through Brockton.
Yeah, listen, man, good people. And food is amazing. Listen, next time we go up there, they got to eat the food. Yeah. Food is good.
Yeah.
There's nothing down here for Cape Verde.
You got to get in contact with me, and I'll send you to a couple of nice spots.
Okay, all right, cool.
Nice.
Okay, speaking of Boston, man, how was growing up in Boston?
You know, Boston, man, I mean, well, growing up when you're a kid anywhere is just, I mean, you're a kid. So whatever you grew up in, whether it's the projects, the blocks, you're going to find your fun because you're a child. So just growing up, you know, when we was poor and, you know, my father was in the streets, my mom worked a job. And, you know, it was just, you know, like just again, when you grow up in the projects, you're around a bunch of other kids. So it really becomes fun. You know, it's not that bad because you're around a lot of kids, and y'all are in kind of like a condensed spot. So it really isn't. When I talk to people, I'm saying, you know, when you're a kid and you grow up, it's different from growing up in the projects as a kid to being in the project as an adult.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Being in the projects as a kid is an amazing experience. You know what I'm saying? It may sound crazy, but it's true. You know, because you can go to different people's houses to get something to eat. The guys are over there. There's kids all over the place. It's in a condensed area. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, I've always wondered that question, and I've never heard nobody kind of answer it the way I'm answering it, because when you're a kid, projects are fun, man. You know, I don't know how anybody else feels about that, but that's how I always felt. And just, you know, my father was in the streets, so I got introduced to street life at an early age, like 12, 13 years old, late 70s. And, you know, at that time, hip-hop was coming out. So the same time I'm being introduced to the streets is the same time when hip-hop is really flourishing. You know, I got my own rap group and everything. So me growing up, I was selling drugs, and I was giving block parties and house parties, and my crew was battling people. So it was pretty dope. It was great. You know what I'm saying? I was getting money. You know what I mean? You know, you go through the little trials and tribulations of going to court and different things and little beefs here and there. But for the most part, when I look back now in retrospect, I'm like, man, you know, I wasn't in college or nothing. I barely graduated from high school, but you know, I was outside all the time, and I knew everybody on every block, and it was, you know, it was dangerous sometimes, of course. But you know what I mean? It was just like, I would give anything to go back to that time, to go back to the 80s.
Yeah.
I would give anything, you know, because it was a genuine love. It was a genuine, even if you had beef, it still was just a genuine calmness of just, and maybe because, you know, I don't have to worry about bills as much now as an adult, you know what I'm saying? I have to take that in consideration.
Yeah, and the thing about the 80s too, if I'm beefing with you, if I'm fighting you, it's fist fight. I punch you, you punch me back. It's not like, you're not killing me. You know what I mean? Like,
well, not in Boston.
Really? Jesus.
It was bad in Boston. No, we was gang banging. I mean, it was, you know, we was averaging 100, 125 murders a year. And, you know, Black Boston, the hood is only like 20-mile radius. So
it's very small.
A lot of murders, a lot of death. But like I said, especially because hip hop. See, I got to come outside the same time when hip hop was being invented.
Yeah.
You know, hip hop came in '73. You know, I'm coming out the house in '78, '79, and man, you know what I'm saying? So it was a beautiful thing because I'm outside and hip hop's outside. So, you know, without hip hop, I don't know if it would have been as fun. I'm sure, you know, it would have been, you know, but hip hop, the culture, being a part of that had a lot to do with my happiness.
Yeah.
And being in the streets and getting money, I really didn't have too much to complain about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is the first time I've ever said that, because I'm starting to understand it more. I'm looking at it from a lens like, man, like you really was like, it was all right. Like you really was all right. And like I said, of course, it wasn't always great because there was shootouts and beefs and police, court, all that. But for the most part, I'm just looking back like, man, like within my hood and within, you know, the struggle and within everything, I lived it pretty happy. When you could ask me, hey, how was it going in Boston? I'm gonna be like, shit, it was all right. Now, of course, Boston was a racist city, so I was still growing up and understanding racism. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But my father, it's funny, because I'm growing up in a city where it's really racist and segregated. So I'm looking at it like, damn, okay, white against black. But my father was heavy dealing with the Mafia, the Irish and Italian Mafia. And and like the real ones, the Chulos, and he had, I don't know if you've seen the movie The Departed.
I have.
With the Whitey Bulger, like my dad had a shootout with Whitey Bulger. Like, my dad was really, really known in the streets up there, and he did a lot of Fed time. But it was for him that I got to be around Irish and Italian men. I was really, really a young guy, but I was doing stuff for these guys. I would have to go to the Fed joints and see these guys, and we're talking big, powerful, older men in the Mafia, and these are the guys that gave me my morals, and I was looking up to these guys. So now, so that's why, it's like, wow, I was glad about that, because if not, I might have looked at white people in only a certain way. But that all my young age was coming up was under Italian men, Irish men. When my father was locked up, they the ones that I'd be going to see. They're the ones that would be guiding me, and that was a major part of me growing up, and a major part of me coming from a boy to a man. Was under these type of men. So, and I understand their race, I understand their culture, I understand the good, the bad, and the ugly of all races, and being in the street and dealing with my father's guys kind of shaped my mind to who I am today. Because I got to really understand, and I was around these guys for like 20 years, heavy in the streets, going through a lot of shit. It really got me the understanding of, we're all under God. And, what I'm saying, and there isn't no bad in race. Now, there's bad in people, but that's people. You know what I'm saying? Not race. And I was so, and again, I understand it now. It was happening naturally back then. Back then, it's just a natural situation. Nobody could ask me about it. I was just how it was. But now I'm looking back, and I reflect, and I'm like, wow, that really was kind of shaped me, to be like the person I am, and I'm grateful for my father. Now, it wasn't the most ideal way to grow up around different races and to be cool, but hey, you know what I'm saying? Listen, I was doing criminal activities, but I learned so much from these guys just about life. What people don't understand, when they talk mafia and talk streets, they just want to paint the picture of a bad human being.
Nah.
Some of these guys have more morals and family values than you can imagine. Than the guy doing the 9 to 5 and never doing crime. So, people don't realize that. Just because you can't judge the book. You know what I'm saying? You got to read the pages. And yes, doing criminal activity, murders, drugs, all that stuff is bad. But there is still a family element, and an element of, an element of how a man is supposed to carry himself out here. So,
we've had a conversation recently about the difference between like the mafia gangs versus like gangbangers, that are out, especially young gangbangers just out there for themselves. I mean, they're just not even close. Like, and there's levels of, there's organization, there's levels of, of who we are, but the basis is it's family, right? Like, I mean, they look out for each other. Everybody's got their place. Everybody's got their job, their whatever they're doing, and they don't bring it home. Like they don't bring it in their neighborhood, in their family, all that's out. Like you said, I mean, they have really good moral. Most of them have, I mean, they might kill somebody every once in a while, but but they,
hey, listen, they might chop up somebody.
They might, but they're
going home for dinner.
They're going home for dinner, and they're going to their kids' plays and their kids' concerts, and they're going to PTA meetings, and they're doing all that stuff, and they're going to church on Sundays.
They are powerful. Because they own the union. They have their own business, like construction or gas stations.
Let me give you a funny story. So, when Dave Mays first moved the office for the Source magazine to New York in the early 80s, he had just got the office, big office on Broadway in Houston. Now, it's right around the corner from Mott Street. Mott Street was where John Gotti's bar was. Like, all the mob was like right over there, like Little Italy. So, these guys, once I was in Boston, Dave was in New York, and Dave called me, and these guys that came up to the office and was like, hey, you know, you guys are new to the office. You know, we're going to be here to collect your trash. You know what I'm saying? You know, we're going to charge you every month. Dave's like, we don't need that. We can do it ourselves. They said, no. We're going to do that.
Yeah.
And so Dave called me. Like, yo, these guys are up here. So I knew what was going on. I called my father, and my father just said, you know, you're gonna have to pay him.
Right.
And it wasn't like an outrageous payment. It was a service that they come get the trash every month. But the trash is the mob's business in New York. And when we moved in there, Dave didn't realize that Dave's a Jewish kid from DC. And it's like, listen, yes, we could have done it ourselves, but then you're gonna risk, you know what I'm saying, what might come after that. So and so I say to myself, I'm like, imagine how many offices in New York that these guys collect trash from.
Right.
So that, and it's a legal business. They run the trash, the sanitation department in New York. So what they did was they took their street activity and just unioned up, and they run a whole business. I mean, you know, yes, there's a lot of illegal stuff going on within the Mafia, but the Mafia legal businesses, the airports, construction, garbage, is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, the money that they're bringing in from that is crazy. So, I mean, it is different. It's different. And, you know, and listen, the guys in the hood, you're in the hood, and, you know, blood, Crips, colors, fighting over, you know, territories that ain't yours. It's so much different. It's just so much different. And that's a cultural thing. That's a, you know, we have to break generational curses that's been going on for a while when it comes, because the problem with the gangs with us is that you said one word, organization. There is no organization. Okay, there is no organization. There is nothing that you can go ahead and grab all these guys and make something legal happen. The only one that really did it with black men, I think, on a level, at a consistent level, was Minister Farrakhan with the Nation of Islam. Other than that, there's not too many organizations that have, you know, taken black men from the streets. I mean, you have some that have been successful, kind of small ones in different areas, but it's one huge national type of thing where it's like, okay, we're unioned up, this is our businesses here, and there's no organization, because nobody trusts anybody. Everybody tries to take from each other. You know what I mean? Listen, I mean, we're getting the crumbs. Everyone's trying to kill each other over the crumbs. So I don't know, you know, but you hit it on the nose. It's two totally different ways of, you know, because La Cosa Nostra comes from Italy, number one. You know, so, you know, it's not like anything that we do came from Africa. So, so you're right. So it's just, you know, I think when Boston really started getting ganged out, really was when Colors came out, the movie Colors. That just kind of sent Boston into a frenzy. There was always projects in different areas, but now people are like, wait a minute, we need to wear the same thing. So now people are wearing teams. You know, you got the Bruins and the Blaze here, and the Giants over here, so, you know, I think gang, and even now, I was talking to somebody and they were saying how the blood culture in all these different neighborhoods like New York and even in Boston now. I mean, you know, Bloods came from, you know, LA.
From LA, yeah.
Started Chicago and LA, but now it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And, you know, how that happened, I don't really know, but I know the influence that comes from hip hop, it comes from movies, and now comes from the internet is a major influence, and we have to start rethinking it.
I mean, no, I agree.
Okay, so before we let him go, though, like, listen, man, you are a very successful man, and I don't think you have enough flowers. They don't give you enough flowers because he had the source, and he's a good rapper on his own right? And we say he had like Snoop, Jay-Z, Kanye, Pac, Rick Ross, like he built the first hip hop award.
Right.
And again, now in 2025, BT just messed the whole thing up.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But listen, as the guy who built the first hip hop award, how do you feel about this going away now?
Extremely unfortunate.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind that there's so many platforms that nobody wants to come together and really give an award show for us. I mean, for a while BT was doing it good, and I just don't know what happened to them. We need to celebrate us.
Yes.
And if there's no award show, then I think the problem is the Gen Z, the new generation, somehow, some way, all the generations that came before them are following them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is probably the first time that's happened. It was always the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're letting the youth, we're following the youth. It's the first time where you have the youth and the older people all wearing the same clothes, doing the same things. There was always a separation of generations of when you're young and you're looking at the older generation in awe. Now these young people look at the older generation and get out of here.
That's true.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
And I just think like we've lost the older people. A lot of the older people have lost their way to follow the younger people.
Yeah.
You have 40, 50-year-old women listening to Sexy Red, and I'm not saying there's anything the matter with that, but it kind of is.
Kind of is.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
I'm not listening to Sexy Red.
If you're 50, come on now. Mary J. Blige,
Right.
Lauryn Hill.
Right.
I'm not mad.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I'm just saying there's something that used to be a natural balance of there was always the generation that came after always followed. And in the natural way of following, things just had more responsible things, content, and just life in general. We've flipped it around where we're following the youth, and the youth is crashing out.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there like, well, damn, they didn't want to listen to me, but it's like you're following them.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true. I didn't think about it that way, but you're right. Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I don't know where it's going. When we had the source, we was kind of the gatekeepers of this.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like one big kind of like, when WWE, everybody fights, it's just one big chaotic situation in hip hop now. There's no organization, there's nobody guiding it, there's no gatekeeping. It's been watered down. The talent, it doesn't take a lot now. It's just, it's disappointing. It's like watching. If I look at hip hop as a beautiful woman, it's like I'm watching her now. She's just been abused so bad, and it's like, man, I just remember when she was beautiful. You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking at her now, and I'm just looking at her how she's been abused, and it hurts my heart because I know how beautiful she was at one time.
Yeah.
Do you think that some of it is because artists nowadays don't have to work as hard to sell their stuff? I mean, like in the 80s and 90s, you had to go to a DJ, you had to go to a radio station and promote your own stuff. You had to go, you had to take your own.
Have talent.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because, you did. Yeah, I mean, to even get studio time, you had to prove yourself to get studio time. But now everybody's home is their studio.
Yeah. Social media, as much as it helped, it screwed it up.
Yeah.
It makes anybody. It makes people look at the person and their antics more than the talent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, let's face it. Rapping doesn't take. It's not a hard thing to do as far as you don't have to hold a note, so it's not like it's so difficult. But you do have to have skill, and that's why there are a few who are really dope, and there's so many people that it's just like not good.
Yeah.
That's the problem. I think social media has made it to where people want their antics to be celebrated and acknowledged more than their talent. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Because then now, you're looking at a bunch of people, streamers and rappers who just have no talent. And just because of their antics or whatever following they have on this and how they got the following, they're now the celebrity. They're now the hot rapper. They're now the hot artist.
Yeah.
And that is messing us up. in ways that I don't know if it could ever be fixed.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah.
So listen, how did you come up with the Source Award, the first one? Like, what sparked you to do that?
Yep. I mean, the Grammys wasn't giving us our props. The Grammys had made an award, and the way they handled it just was that we knew that the Grammys is a board of governors, and we knew that these people had nothing to do with hip hop, so far from the culture.
And still don't.
It was time that we come up with our own awards, and we started in '94. The first one was Red Off on Yo MTV Raps in '91. It was just a Red Off, but the award show was our first one in '94 in New York, and we was able to do about 7 more of them. Miami and LA at different spots, and we actually made it to where BET kind of copied our program and made the Hip Hop Awards, and I mean we pretty much was the blueprint for the Hip Hop Awards show.
Yes,
I'm proud that I was a part of that.
Right.
They can't take that away from us, but times have changed, man, and like I said, there's more people out there who have no talent who just get on. The Charleston Whites and the TV.
Oh my God! Don't
the people like that are just screwing the culture over, and it's I wouldn't want to say the whole culture. Let's just say the internet culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the internet, let's just say that. And I think the internet demographic is its own demographic.
Yeah.
Sure.
There's still people out here who are still genuine and just ain't with a lot of the clown activities that goes on the internet.
Yeah, but Charleston White, man, he's different. That's all I can say
He's
about
not different. He's a con man.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
He's a con man. He's conned his way into a few coins because, again, the people who aren't able to really understand and really, you have thinkers, but they're not processors.
Yeah.
To not understand that he's just a con man and everything he does, he's a hypocrite. Everything that he comes against, he is now. He was against all the YNs and everything, and now he dresses like the YNs.
Exactly.
He was against, he wears the Confederate flag, and then he was against Charlie Kirk. He talks about broken homes and mothers, and then he's running around with the stripper in his bed cheating on his wife. Like, all his stuff that you think that he's saying good is just really a con, because really everybody that he hated on and talked shit about, he just wanted to be them.
Yeah.
That's true.
This was a man that had no money, that had nothing going for him, that managed to weasel his way in by disrespecting other black people.
Yeah.
And it's just that he's playing on the mind. A lot of minds on this are frail. Mm-hmm. A lot of uneducated, a lot of very misguided and misinformed people spend their daily days on this. And those it's to the point where I'm not even mad at his dumb ass anymore. I'm mad at the people who continue.
Keep watching, exactly.
This guy is some type of the next coming of, like, they're the ones I'm mad at. Mm-hmm. It's the ones that shares his videos and they're pointing up when he's saying something, like he's saying the most basic, normal shit. But I gotta realize a lot of people watching this are really just lost, and they've never had guidance. If you follow Charleston White with any type of, if you think what he does is funny, if you think what he does is good for the culture, then you have a problem more than him.